Hello. A couple years back, a YouTuber named Wendigoon did a complete deep dive into the conspiracy theory iceberg. But since then, the iceberg has almost quadrupled in size, and he got pretty big off of it, and maybe people will be interested. So, this is part one of part one. Hope you enjoy.
Big Pharma. Big Pharma is a massive conspiracy theory, too large to cover in a minute. The general idea is that large pharmaceutical companies stand to gain the most from worldwide sickness. Because of this, many people believe they purposely spread chronic illness to many parts of the world in order to increase their profits.
The military can't recruit kids anymore. They're so badly damaged, and it's bankrupting our country, and it's rising exponentially, and nobody is mentioning it. And we have a medical cartel, which are regulatory agencies, the pharmaceutical companies, the doctors, hospitals, which are all owned by hedge funds, are now making a killing on chronic disease.
Astral projection. So do you guys know about that time the CIA astral projected into the spirit world? Astral projection is the idea that by taking a ton of drugs, you can have an out-of-body experience and move your spirit around without your body following. Many people claim that you can enter into the spirit world with this. During the MK Ultra experiments, there was an alleged incident in which the CIA was trying to use astral projection to record secret meetings in other rooms. Allegedly, there is a video of a man dying during this and being sent to heaven before the recording was cut off, but the video never surfaced. Slenderman. Slenderman is not a conspiracy theory. It was a creepypasta spread around random message boards like 4chan during the early 2010s. Some people may think that Slenderman is real, but I got bad news for him. It's not real. GMOs. GMOs start with a technology called CRISPR-Cas9, which is a special protein that is capable of detecting specific programmable sections of DNA and cutting them out for a different section of DNA. In other words, it's like copy and paste, but for the DNA within our cells. This has opened up a new world for genetic engineering, including genetically modified crops and other items. This theory links back to Big Pharma, as people believe GMOs might cause cancer or cause chronic illness. GMOs have also had a very detrimental effect on the environment, as they allow for large amounts of pesticides to be sprayed without damaging the plant. This causes disastrous runoff and more chronic illness. Climate denial. This is the idea that climate change does not exist, and that shadowy world elites are secretly propagating the myth of climate change in order to gain more control over the population. Fake news. Fake news is the belief that a shadowy world elites are secretly controlling most news stations or all news stations and are propagating fake or incorrect news in order to control and manipulate the general population. Vaccine lucid dreaming. Many people reported having lucid dreams after taking the vaccine during COVID. People argued that this could be some sort of soul death, demonic possession, or perhaps just a way that the vaccine is not safe. That theory. This theory argues that there's a secret cabal of these people secretly running the world. It's the 1930s one. Alright, here are three that you already know which are kind of the same thing. Vampires, Bigfoot, and succubi. Vampires suck blood, Bigfoot is a big monkey that lives in the forest, and succubi give you a good time. Sacred geometry. This is the idea that certain geometric forms are inherent to the universe. It often works off Christian beliefs about how the universe works and then proceeds to assign meanings and personalities to shapes, working upwards to create the universe. My favorite example of this is when Johannes Kepler fit all the Platonic solids perfectly in between the planets from Mercury to Saturn. The Mandela effect. The Mandela effect is the idea that certain memories we hold are incorrect, like the idea that the Fruit of the Loom logo never had the cornucopia, which is just wrong. It 100% did. People rectify this obvious problem with the universe by arguing that there are parallel universes which can sometimes merge, and that some memories survive the merging of these universes. Alternatively, people argue that time travelers can change history in major ways, and that some memories remain. Singularity. AI is growing its intelligence at an alarming rate, and people have argued that once AI becomes intelligent enough to rival a human, it will only be a matter of days or perhaps hours until that same AI is more intelligent than the entire human race combined. With such a powerful God being born, people fear that it may quickly end the human race, or perhaps enslave us until we are no longer useful for its growth. Another option is that the AI hides in the shadows and slowly sends humanity extinct as it uses our labor for its own goals. On an unrelated note, since 2020, birth rates have been at record lows, and if this continues, humanity will be extinct by 3000 AD. Are we already under the AI? Hypnosis self-help. Hypnosis self-help is a practice used by many pseudopsychologists to hypnotize people in order to make them forget their traumatic memories or mend a relationship with a partner. But that forgetting part begs a scary question. You see, if you had gone to a hypnosis self-help meeting and forgotten something there, then you would also have needed to forget that you went there. Because if you didn't forget that you went there, it would all come back to you. So this begs the question, have you gone in the past and you don't know? And how many times have you gone in the past? In the end, you just don't know the answer to this question, because however many times you've gone there, you've purposely forgotten that you went there. UFOs. UFOs are a government-spread conspiracy theory which posits that alien aircraft are noted to fly around the world and are acting in secret with world governments. We know for a fact that the United States government has used this conspiracy to dissuade people from the truth, most notably with Paul Benowitz, who lived next to an experimental Air Force base and would observe experimental aircraft flying around. Being a good boy, he told the relevant authorities about it, and they told him it was aliens. This led Paul Benowitz to slowly go crazy trying to decrypt alien signals. We also have leaked government slideshows from WikiLeaks describing how they used UFOs to draw attention away from the important information.
Among the millions of images and files leaked by Edward Snowden was this GCHQ slideshow labeled The Art of Deception. Though we don't have the script that accompanies this slideshow, it references UFOs and UFO enthusiast groups as possibly a way of distracting the public from what is really going on, by sending people down the conspiracy rabbit holes and feeding their egos just enough that the concept they might be wrong not only never crosses their mind, it becomes almost offensive to them. And so they keep digging down the wrong rabbit hole, convinced that every minor detail they find, regardless of how contrived, regardless of how insignificant, is the vital proof they've been missing this whole time.
This psyop got so bad that in the 1970s, the Soviet Union was afraid that the United States was secretly in contact with aliens. Crazy. Orbs. Orbs is a phenomena that happens during flash photography at night, in which large circular orbs can be seen in the background of some photographs. People purport that these are more likely to occur in spiritual places like churches, graveyards, or burial grounds. People believe that these orbs may be the spirits of the dead. Chemtrails. Chemtrails is the idea that the government or somebody else is using the trails of jets to spread poison, contaminants, or other items that may do things like seeding clouds, causing chronic illness, and prompting people to be more cooperative with the government. Ripperology. Jack the Ripper was a serial killer in London during the 19th century. He was the first media sensation, with the newspapers reporting on the killings and giving daily updates. Ever since, the crimes have not been solved, and Ripperology has become an entire field of people attempting to solve these murders. No definite answer has been given, but people have argued anything from a random butcher to the King of England to most recently a police officer. Biblical aliens. There are many references throughout the Bible, ancient texts, and ancient civilizations that could be pointed to as proof of aliens. Some people believe that aliens are not real, and that rather, inside UFOs are demons, as demons would have lost their ability to fly when they were cast out of heaven, but would have kept the knowledge of all things of creation, and are therefore creating flying saucers. Other people argue that aliens have made contact with ancient civilizations, and are not making contact with us now because we are too advanced and would understand what is happening. One of my favorite examples of this is when Alexander of Macedon and his army witnessed a massive flying shield flying over their army for over 2 days. It's crazy how that happened and no one talks about it. Hollow Earth. This theory points to many historical oddities and ideas of people within the Earth to argue that there is a secret civilization inside the Earth that is hiding from us. Many call this civilization Agartha and argue that a certain Admiral Byrd entered it during his trip to the Arctic. We know for a fact that the US government spent a lot of resources in the years following to try to research it, but we have no idea what they found. Nibiru Cataclysm. This was a doomsday cult started by Nancy Leiter in 1995, which posited that a planet was going to sweep through the inner solar system in May 2003 and strike within the coming years. It hasn't happened, so it's probably not true. Cicada 3301. Cicada 3301 is the name given to an enigmatic organization that has been posting a series of complex puzzles online, starting in January 2012. The puzzles, which involve cryptography, steganography, and data security, among other topics, were first posted on forums like 4chan, and they have since gained a reputation for their difficulty and mysterious purpose. As it stands, the current mystery is unsolved, but people think that after a certain point, those solving the mystery are required to stay quiet, as the mystery could be a recruitment program for a government agency or hacking group. Aura reading. This isn't a brain rot idea, but rather a new age religious idea that people have a certain amount of aura around them that extends exactly 9 feet for some reason, and is capable of picking up qualities of their well-beings and mind. There are professional aura readers who can give you an aura score. Atlantis. Atlantis is a legendary island mentioned in the works of the ancient Greek philosopher Plato. Plato describes Atlantis as a powerful and technologically advanced civilization that existed around 9,000 years before his own time. According to the story, Atlantis was a large island located beyond the Pillars of Hercules, which is commonly believed to be the Strait of Gibraltar. This is where our word for the Atlantic comes from, and some people believe that this story is a bastardized myth about the Minoans, who were a real civilization that lived on the island of Crete about 1,500 years before Plato. Or perhaps it was a real country. We never know, as the story states that the island was destroyed in natural disasters. Momo. Momo was a scary photo that was shared around the internet during the early 2010s. Creepy videos and memes would be created with this picture, sometimes asking kids to do unsafe tasks. The news media was instrumental in this meme, as their coverage resulted in the meme blowing up, worsening the problem, much like with the Tide Pod challenge. Some people posit that the news purposely did this as a monetary goal.
Mama, Mama's going to kill you. Mama, Mama's going to kill you.
Dyatlov Pass. The Dyatlov Pass incident is an insane story of a group of mountain climbers dying in some of the most insane ways possible. It was a snowstorm, but some of them purposely took off their clothes whilst in the open. Others were found blown hundreds of feet downhill. Another had made a cigarette campfire, and some of them had their eyes clawed out. So much of that mystery of how they died still haunts us today. 23 Enigma. The 23 Enigma is the belief that the number 23 appears with unusual frequency in various contexts and is often associated with events of significance, particularly those involving chaos, conspiracy, or other mysterious coincidences. People connect us to the ideas of the spirit world by saying that the number 23 has a chaotic and mystical nature, continuing to say that all numbers have nature, some good and some evil. People have connected this to other ideas within Christianity and Chinese philosophy, where 3, 13, 6, and 666 are all unlucky or evil numbers, whilst numbers like 7 are godly and spiritual. Again, this stuff really makes you wonder how different cultures across time can converge on the same numbers 3, 13, and 23 being unlucky. Missing 411. Missing 411 is a term describing a series of mysterious and unexplained disappearances in national parks and other wilderness areas across North America. Some of these stories are kind of spooky, right? Like an 8-year-old Catherine Van Alst was camping with her family when she wandered off and became lost. Searchers scoured the area, and for 6 days before she was found alive in a cave several miles from where she was last seen. Catherine was in remarkably good condition, considering the length of time she had been missing. When asked how she survived, she seemed strangely calm and told searchers, "I just went to sleep and then woke up here." So this 8-year-old just went to sleep and woke up 6 days later and 7 miles away. What is going on in the forest, right? And then others of these stories aren't necessarily mystical or conspiracy, but they're just kind of scary. Like an unnamed man was last seen hiking near the Yellowstone River. Despite a large search operation, he was never found. Months later, a park ranger discovered the man's backpack and camera at the edge of a cliff overlooking the river. The camera contained a series of photos showing the man in good spirits, but the last photo was of his terrified face, possibly taken some moments before his disappearance. So just imagine being that police officer. You get to this camera, you look through the camera, happy, 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 and the very last photo is of him terrified in the night. Fluoridization. The fluoride conspiracy refers to the belief held by some that the addition of fluoride to public drinking water, a common practice in many countries, is part of a harmful or even sinister agenda. They believe that chronic illness and lowered testosterone levels can be attributed to this as a way of keeping the populace docile and sick. This is part of the big pharma conspiracy. Hypersigils. Hypersigils are an advanced concept within the process of chaos magic. The idea of a hypersigil extends the traditional concept of a sigil, a symbol or drawing created with the intention of manifesting a specific outcome. into a more complex and immersive form. A hypersigil is essentially a work of art, often a story that functions as a multi-dimensional signal intended to influence reality. Some people believe that the New World Order and other groups use hypersigils on things like the US dollar to secretly control the world and manifest their strength, explaining why they are so adamant to make us use this singular currency with their symbol on it. Tsuki. The Tsuki project was a website with cryptic messages saying that our reality is just one amongst a system of many, and that when we die, we extend to the next system. The problem was that the Tsuki website urged many people to game end themselves, and in 2018, someone's game end note had a reference to Tsuki, so the website was shut down. Good going, guys. MJ12. Majestic 12, also known as Magic 12, and MJ12 for short, was a purported organization that appears in UFO conspiracy theories. The organization is claimed to be the code name of an alleged secret committee of scientists, military leaders, and government officials formed in 1947 by an executive order of President Harry S. Truman. The concept originated in a series of supposedly leaked government documents, first circulated by ufologists in 1984. You may know these men as the Men in Black from other conspiracy theories. The concept of the Majestic 12 emerged when ufologists believed that there had been a cover-up of the Roswell UFO incident and speculated some secretive upper tier of the US government was responsible. The people who did this were researchers Stanton T. Friedman and Billy Moore, who say they later received a series of anonymous messages that led them to find what has been called the Cutler/Twinning memo. This closely resembles the story of Paul Benowitz from before. Claiming to be connected to the United States Air Force Office of Special Investigations, a man named Richard Doughty told a filmmaker, Linda Moulton Howe, who had been making research on UFOs, that the MJ12 story was true, and showed how unspecified documents purporting to prove the existence of small, gray, humanoid aliens originating from the Zeta Reticuli star system. Doughty reportedly promised to supply Howe with film footage of UFOs in an interview with an alien being, although no footage was ever materialized. Moon landing faked. I really had no idea what this could possibly mean. I've really never heard of this. There's really no information about it online. Yeah, I have no idea what moon landing faked could possibly mean.